Hi, Chris McLoone here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment, continuing still my tour through Indianapolis. Right now where I'm standing is the watch desk area of Station 2, one of the original 5 stations that was built when the Indianapolis Fire Department first became a career paid department. I'm here with Chief Howard Stahl. He's going to be my tour guide today. There is so much to see here. We're not going to be able to touch on all of it with this, but as we go through, we'll be talking about some things about how you can see this, how you can get in touch with the people here, and we're going to learn a little bit about how this is not only a museum, but also the entire facility is also a fire department resource and a community resource. So, Chief, thank you very much for joining me today, and we'll get started. Okay, so where we are now, Chief, is the original bay of the firehouse where originally a steam-powered engine would have been housed, a horse-drawn steam engine, but we've got 2 rigs here that we're going to go over real quick. So talk about the engine and talk about the ladder for me.
Well, the uniqueness of these 2 is they're Stutzes, and they were built right here in Indianapolis. Indianapolis was a huge hub for automotive manufacturing at the turn of the 20th century, and one of the manufacturers here was Stutz, and they also built trucks. So we were fortunate enough, probably from the early 1900s up to through World War I, through the Depression and all, our department was almost a complete fleet of Stutz engines. 600 gallon per minute pumper like this one here belonged to pumper 15. This apparatus itself was in a transportation museum, and one of our retirees, Bill Brown, found it. He did a complete, insane frame-off restoration of it. If you can walk around and look at it with just all the detailing and everything that was done to it. Originally, he just lent it to the museum, but now he's donated it to us. So it's one of our prized pieces.
I want to talk about the ladder here, too.
The truck itself, when we first opened the museum, we had a lot of people that were starting to come in and give us things. Once we finally had a structure to work in, we recovered a lot of our lost history, and this was one of them. This came from Long Island, New York, a small volunteer fire department there that had it. They'd had it for years. One of their chiefs had bought it. They used it for parades. They used it for shows, but they were running out of room. They wanted to get rid of it, and when he passed away, he had a deal. He says, if anything ever happens to this truck, first offer has to go back to Indianapolis. They found out about our museum. They called us and said, hey, you want this ladder company? They sent me a picture of it. We paid for the wheels and different things. They put some money into it to restore it and make it look really good, and then they shipped it here on a flatbed trailer, and this was old Ladder Company 27. We went through all the plates on it and figured out where it was originally done. So both of these are early Indianapolis apparatus. And
with this, you had a bit of fun on it right when it got here, because there was actually still a member of the IFD that could drive it.
We did. The guy showed up on the flatbed semi, and he said, do you know how to drive this thing? And I said, no, I don't. I didn't know how to start it. And so we're just going to push it off and try to push it in here. But I got the idea to call Clyde Feaster, one of our retirees, and say, hey, Clyde, you still know how this thing works? And he said, absolutely. He got here right away. He jumped right on it, fired it up, backed it off of the trailer, and he said, well, let's go. And we drove all over downtown and out into Woodruff Place and back and forth on 10th Street. He was like a 6-year-old kid driving the thing and backed it in here. And because Clyde knew Stutzes, you'll see here in a minute, there's a shop-built Stutz back here that he donated to us. So he knew these rigs inside and out.
Well, let's go take a look at the shop-built rig.
Okay.
Well, we saw the other 2 IFD Stutz-built units, though there was a Stutz engine and a Stutz truck that we saw in the original engine base. Chief Stahl is going to talk about this truck. It's a little bit more unique. It's still a Stutz, but a little bit of a different type of Stutz. Chief, why don't you take us through that?
Well, what you saw in the other room were what we called factory-built Stutzes. They came right out of the factory just like that, and we put them in line. We also had shop rebuilt Stutzes where they took those old ones and repurposed them, but this is an actual shop built. We would get the drivetrain and the frame from Stutz. They stopped making, through World War I and into the Depression, they stopped making fire apparatus. So our shops built everything out, everything up to, you see, like this was molded in our shops. If you look at the feet pedals, they say IFD on it. A lot of the plates around will say made in IFD shops. So it was completely redone when times were tough through the early war eras.
And not only did the shops build some of the trucks and during one era, they built a tremendous amount of the equipment that was used by Indianapolis firefighters during that time frame.
Yeah, we had our own molds. I mean, in the lean years, things get tough. We built our own hydrant wrenches, built a thing called a foamer bar, which is a forcible entry tool, gated Y pipes, a lot of the nozzles and stuff. And you can get you see one, it'll say made in IFD on shops on the side of it.
Not only that, but also the helmet shields as well.
Yeah, and we had the helmet shields on the front of it. Yeah.
Where we are now is above the watch room where we started the tour. And the reason I wanted to take us up here is because anyone who is served in an older fire station probably has had a hose tower, and that's actually where we are right now. Chief Stahl explained a little while ago to me that that they uncovered the original pulley system that was used when this was still Station 2 and a functioning station. So Chief, why don't you explain kind of what we're looking at here and just some history.
Well, not just if you have an older fire, but if you're an older firefighter, you've probably had to hang the old cotton jacketed hose, and you can see where it would come down. Every Friday would be hose day in Indianapolis. Any of the hose that you used, because the cotton jacket would form the acid in it and eat it up, you'd have to take it out, stretch it, wash it, hang it up in the tower and let it hang dry like that, and you take other hose off and put it back on your engine. These kids don't know how good they had it these days, but this was the original hose tower. And then they'd also say things like the chief's coming and he's going to hang you from the hose tower. So a lot of history here.
So we mentioned before that this is actually a facility. It's not only a museum. And part of the facility is that it is also a community resource. And one of those community resources is where we're standing right now. This is the Survive Alive Village. You can get an idea here. We've got a lot of different areas that students can come to learn about fire prevention and what to do if there is a fire. Now, there is a special group that you are typically looking at for that. So why don't you just take me through Survive Alive and the types of people you're bringing through.
Yeah, we target second graders because educators tell us that that's really a prime age of where they start to function and learn things like this, and they're at a fairly high risk. So we will try to get all second graders in Marion County to come through. We can do all ages, it just have to be little kids, but we target that. To come through, we teach them stop, drop, and roll. We teach them not to play with matches. We bring them over here to the Survive Alive Village. We got a first floor bedroom, we got a second floor bedroom, what to do when the smoke detector's off, how to stay low and crawl, how to touch a door and see if it's warm. And then this is the neighbor's house. We teach them to go over to the neighbor's house, knock on the door and say, call 911, this is my emergency. We teach them how to call 911 and what's going to happen when they do and what it is that they need to say when we need help.
There's also a demonstration area down the hall
here. There's a classroom.
Where you know, a firefighter will don all the PPE so that the kids kind of get acquainted with what they'll be seeing, and if God forbid their house caught on fire. Chief, what are we looking at here?
This is the Fallen Firefighters Memorial for Marion County in Indianapolis. The way this came about was we had a fire February 5th, 1992. We lost two guys, Woody Glenius and Johnny Lorenzano, in a fire at the athletic club. We hadn't lost a firefighter structurally since 1969, so it kind of set us back a little bit. We got into it, we did the funerals and everything, and the next year somebody said we need to do some type of a memorial thing. And we said, well, what if we do a reading of all the fallen firefighters' names? And we marched from here all the way down to the World War Memorial. We called in all the survivors, all the family members that we could find, and we had a really nice presentation. We read everybody's name, rang a bell, put a carnation in a cup, and that was it. Rick Longrich, who was captain on the job at the time and who was the treasurer of the union, a lady went up to him and she said, my father was killed in the line of duty in the 1950s when I was small. She said, this is the first time anybody has recognized he and our loss and thanked us so much for it. And it really moved Rick, and he said, we need to do a Fallen Firefighters Memorial. So we plotted out a couple of different things, and we knew it was going to be on this site because this was where the museum was going to be. So, being firefighters, we're not real creative. So we called in an artist from Brown County. His name was Dale Enochs. And Dale came out. If you want to know where all the hippies went, they went to southern Indiana, Brown County, Monroe County, and he came up. He's an artist from down there. Asked us a lot of questions, and of course a lot of us were a little skeptical as well. What's this guy know about the job? What's he know about firefighting? So we gave him a lot of books, and he would ask us questions. What does this mean to you? What is this symbolism and everything? So he went back, and he came back with a scale model of this. So if you look at it, the columns that go around the side are all very smooth where the names are. That represents the pureness of the life of the firefighters, but if you look at the top of the column and it's all native Indiana limestone where it's broken and jagged, means the violent death that they met with in the line of duty. They're taller columns that descend down and around. All the names of the fallen are on the front of them. There's 120 names on there. And then it comes to the center post here where it rises up. And if you can see the flames and stuff that are engraved into the side of it, and then the top of it is the mythological bird, the phoenix, that's carrying the souls of all the firefighters to heaven. So each one of the columns is brought in with a limestone run to where it all runs into the center and it goes up.
Well, we've come to the end of what is really for you a short tour of this museum, but believe me, there is a lot to see that we just couldn't get to in a short video. But before we wrap it up, Chief, could you just explain a little bit more about, we saw the Survive Alive area, but there's even more to this facility than just that aspect of the community resource, and it's also a fire department resource. Could you just bring us through that a little bit?
It's really a multifunction facility. We've got a lot going on here. It's not just a museum. The headquarters for Indianapolis Firefighters, Professional Firefighters Local 416 is here. We also on the third floor have Pro Team Tactical Performance. It is athletic trainers and physical therapists. If our firefighters have any type of physical injuries, orthopedic injuries that they need to get rehab before, they can come right here and do that. We also have a huge meeting room, a couple different meeting rooms. This is Mass Ave meeting room. There's a large one over there involved in the community. A lot of different people come in. They have different parties, different fundraisers and things here. You know, the cornerstone of any city in the neighborhoods is the firehouse, and we want to make sure that that concept goes out from here. If you see any of our rigs, it says our family serving your family on the side of it, and that is definitely how we are. And we're family, and we want the people in the neighborhood to know we're part of the neighborhood. This area along Mass Avenue right here, with all of its renovations and all the restaurants and all the fun things, when we bought this, none of this was here. This was a blighted area, and we were thrilled to death to be some of the first people in here to help regenerate this neighborhood and make it what it is today.
Well, thank you again, Chief, for taking the time out with me today to talk about this. If you know, it's getting to be FDIC time, or if there are other visitors to the city just coming to see it for tourism, what are the hours of the facility and how can people find more information on it?
They can go online, or you can come. Usually 8 to 4, Monday through Friday it's open in normal office hours for our union. We'll open it on Saturdays in good weather. We'll have retirees that are docents sitting out front, so if the bay doors are open and there's 2 old guys sitting there in a chair, come on in. They've got plenty of stories. And then during FDIC on Friday night, we have our open house.
Okay.
So get on a bus, get on an Uber, get on your feet, get over here. We've got a huge party that's here, and you can come through it then.
All right, great. Well, again, my thanks to you, Chief, for taking the time out. Again, this has been Chris McClune with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment at the Indianapolis Fire Museum. Have a good one and stay safe. Thanks again, Chief.
All right. Appreciate you guys.